I think the only information we have about that consists of two things. The president's obvious unhappiness with the deal, and now Ambassador Haley's speech, which seemed to outline a possible path forward, which would involve not pulling out of the deal, but it would involve saying, even if the Iranians are, strictly speaking, keeping to the terms of the deal is not in the national security interest of the United States, and throwing it to Congress to decide what to do about sanctions. It's hard for me to believe that she would have given that speech without anybody at the White House seeing it. Two sides to the question, nuclear and the rest. Given the JCPOA, they really don't have much of an option right now on the nuclear side. They, like we, basically are watching to see what happens, see if Iran keeps to the terms of the deal, see where we are in 5 years, see perhaps if the deal can be extended to another 10 years or permanently. But I think they had a window, 2004, 5, 6 maybe, before the JCPOA and before the negotiations were extremely serious, to hit those sites militarily. They decided not to do that. So now they, like we, kind of wait and see what happens. On the conventional side, they have a new threat, which is the Iranian presence on their northern border, particularly in Syria, the Hezbollah presence and the Shia militia presence. There they have more options. They have been bombing the efforts to get advanced high-tech missiles, precision missiles, into Lebanon for Hezbollah. They've been bombing trucks and so forth for years now. More recently, there was a strike from Israeli strike from the airspace over Lebanon into Syria that seems to have been aimed not at a wagon train, that is, at a moving target, but rather at some kind of plant to build in Syria precision rockets and missiles. They wouldn't have to be shipped all the way across from Iran. The Israelis have said, the military and the civilian leadership of Israel said, we're not going to permit that. And I think they're not going to permit it. So the question really is, where does that end up? Do they deter Iran? Is there a point at which there's almost a kind of modus vivendi? Iran can go thus far, but no further. The Israelis have accepted, unwillingly, of course, that there can be Iranian troops in Syria, that there can be Shia militias in Syria. But they're trying to set some line here with munitions factories, in a sense. If that is not acceptable to Iran, there are going to be more strikes, and you could possibly see this escalating. Israel's strategic situation has really changed for the worse in the last few years because there is now an Iranian presence on its border. And that wasn't true 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Israel's strategic situation was improving. They don't view the Palestinians as an existential threat. Their relations with many Arab governments are improving. They more or less had deterred Hezbollah in the 2006 war from striking again. It was a standoff. But this is a big change to have Iran there. And the Israelis are now doing something I think that's significant, now meaning 2016 and 2017. They're talking about this a lot and saying, this is intolerable and that's intolerable. And it reminds me of what they said in 2007 and 8 to the Bush administration about Gaza, about rockets being fired into Israel from Gaza by Hamas. And what they said was, this is intolerable. We're not telling you we're going to attack tomorrow. If this keeps up, there's only one direction it's going in. Ultimately, we will have to act. When they did act, therefore, we were expecting it. I'm reminded of that because I think they're now saying often, this is intolerable. This cannot be permitted. and, in a sense, telegraphing to the United States, the EU, the Gulf Arabs, down this road lies a confrontation, and we're not going to shrink from it. Now, some of that may be an effort to deter Iran, but I think some of it also is giving advance notice to the United States, their greatest ally, that this may be coming, and you'd better be prepared for it, and we expect your support if and when it happens.